Hi, I'm Rob Hoffman.
And I'm Mom Joyce.
And today we're going to talk about the several meetings that we had in the early stages of our home. Before we bought the house, the very first step of the design process, our home consultant met us at the model. It was about our second or third time there with this little tiny notepad. And we got talking about costs, and he told us at that point what the base model of our house approximately was. He said, we'll go inside and we'll get you the exact cost to start. But he said, let's see what you want and what you need before, and then let's sit down and run that. And that was our really the original.
That gave us a total that we started with. And then when we seen that total, obviously, we cut back here, put something else there, and it worked out really well, actually.
Yes, from that very original number, by the time we were done, we were able to trim it down. We were able to chop about $15,000 off the house. And we still are very happy with what we chose. But he went through and he walked that house with us room by room by room. What do you want? Well, the cabinets in the kitchen were humongous. Mom said, I don't want that. He said, good, those are extra.
I said,
you want the base cabinets.
The island's too big. Good, because it comes
That's
smaller.
extra. And we ended up going with a slightly larger island that I think was $100 more. Yeah. And all we did was we're going to have an eat ledge on it.
Right.
Which is just bumped it out of.
You'll see a couple people. Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be nice.
It'll be just fine for it. But that's room by room by room. We go upstairs and I don't need this high grade carpet. Good, that's extra. And we walk to the basement and we can't afford that. And he said, good, that's a good chunk right off. But anyway, that's where they started, and that's how you've got to start somewhere, and that gets you the number in your head. And after you absorb that, you will go back through and go, okay, that's what we wanted. What do we need?
Right.
And you'll be surprised that once you go down to what you need, how close you get to everything
that you wanted. Yes, this is true.
Well, let's see what we have here. In the first place, I'm afraid you've got the upstairs about twice as big as the downstairs.
It's all those bathrooms.
It's all those closets.
And that little video snippet that you just saw is so true to life, because this is where we sat down with our consultant and we got to design all kinds of things. I think the first thing that we did was, we had been several times and we started driving around looking, and we saw a very similar version of the home we chose. It was the baby brother of the one we're building, but we got to see it in several different incarnations, from a real simple classic design to the legacy design, and of course we had seen our home in the craftsman design. And these are all called elevations, and they all have different prices. Well, we'll start with the simplest home we looked at in our travels, which was in the classic design, and Mom had a problem with that right off the bat.
Oh, it had a little stoop.
Yes, it had a little stoop.
And had what I call pencils holding the roof over it. It was not pretty. The house was large, the stoop was small, and it just didn't go together.
And the picture you're seeing right now, as she was describing that is a different model, but it is the classic design. So when we went in and sat with our consultant, we had ruled that out. The next one you're looking at that we saw was called the legacy design, and it cost a little bit more than the classic for the different frontage on it. But that was what Mom liked, and I liked it.
Beautiful.
And it just had a very different look. So the first thing we did with our consultant was we chose that elevation, as they call them. We went with the legacy. garage. That was $2,000 more, just so anyone out there knows that that's an extra cost because they have to add windows.
It's very pretty on a lot of homes, very pretty.
And a few other things that we put in our original order. We wanted, for future growth, we wanted to have plumbing put in the basement for a full bathroom. Mom did not want the master bedroom. She had chosen a room at the back of the house, and I didn't like the fact she didn't have an ensuite. So, what did we do?
Well, we chose to bump a closet out of the third bedroom and make it smaller and make the closet in my bedroom larger, room for a small half bath.
Plus a closet. And our consultant, he was still a little new at some of this, and he put the cost into that for us. And we got just some of the basic things down, like we wanted the 9-foot ceilings. And by the way, that is critical when you're building your home. Everything you look at, what can't be changed after the house is built. And if you want 9-foot over 8-foot ceilings, those are set in stone. Right. So that's something, if you want it, you have to have it up front. You can buy better carpet later. You can buy better flooring later, but you can't change where your ceilings are. So we went with that, and we had a few other little updates that we had done to the house. We were looking at a budget. At this point, we did not have a sunroom on it because the house, as originally configured, was $10,000 more than I wanted to spend. So as we go through our travels, we go with the bank, which will be another video, and we get a copy of our tentative prints from the bank. And by this time, we have been at the house, I don't know how many times.
20, 30, I don't know.
But we had started measuring to know what size carpets or rugs to look for and all that.
What size the windows were going to be. And
for curtains. So we were getting to know our house very, very well. And in the front of the house, we are going to put my piano in there, and I'm upgrading that around the time we move. And the living room in the model is 12 foot by 14 foot. We're looking at our prints when they come up, which you're now seeing. And that is 10 foot by 14 foot.
I said 10? What happened to 2 feet?
So, looking at the prints, the foyer was wider. And at this point, we go back to our home consultant because something's wrong. We were told everything's the same. The fronts just changed, just the elevation. They just look different from the street, basically. Well, he went and did some checking, and he found out that while the total square foot in the house will remain the same, each elevation may have a little variation in room sizes. And in the case of ours, we're putting a tower up, and they needed a little bit more room for the structure for the tower. And they had to take 2 feet off of the living room on both floors. So the room above it was also smaller. Well, that was not going to work for what we wanted to do with it.
Back to the drawing board. And originally I didn't care if I had a porch or not because I liked this elevation. It was very pretty from the outside. I chose to go with a smaller porch. I did not want the stoop.
No, we started with we went back to the classic. Mm-hmm. And when we sat down with Pam and the second time on the design, our home consultant got us started, then Pam comes in. And she sits down and she kind of chuckles over the column because they changed to a slightly larger column from the home we looked at. But once Mom saw that little tiny toothpick holding up the house, she did not want anything else. So Pam suggested going with the larger column, and we did. And Mom wanted to add on a sunroom. So we did that. And back about our travels we go.
Now, the difference in the cost of the elevation allowed us to have the sunroom and one or two other extra things, because the cost is quite different with the.
By the time we changed the elevation back to the Classic, we had looked at our lot, and a side load garage was nice, but it was going to cost more to put in because it was longer, and all of the homes around us were
front.
Well, they were all ranches, and our home would have looked like a mansion up against these smaller ranch homes.
Because when you put a side garage in, it makes the house look wider, and now it's going to be boxier, so it won't be
So
quite
we
so
wanted
large.
to shrink the footprint of that house as small as possible so it would fit in the neighborhood. So we put the garage back in the front, and that was $2,000 right off the top,
Yes.
or back into our budget. And going from the Legacy back, that was a few thousand. So we brought the cost of the home back down. And that's where we left it. Then a couple days later, Mom decided she could not live without a little roof over the windows in the front of the house because she didn't want the rain to go on them. So we go back into Pam, and now we're on change order number 3. Well, change order number 2, the third change. And this is where we now are talking to her, and I'm starting to get a little adamant because we only have so much money to work with. And Mom wants the better floors. And Pam has already told us that the bathroom in her bedroom had to go because we did not budget enough money for that.
That was fine. The bathroom in this home upstairs is about 5 steps away from the bedroom that I will have.
Because her
I
bedroom's
did not
bigger.
need the other bath. I was just doing it to please Rob, and I didn't have to do that.
Yes, we moved her bedroom closer to the bathroom when we enlarged it, so that was okay there. So we gained a little bit of money on that, and Mom had to have her sunroom. The sunroom was considerably more money,
Yes.
and our consultant came back and said, well, here's what we could do. We could go with the next size smaller sunroom that's got a little, has a 14-foot cathedral ceiling instead of a 15-foot, and it had smaller windows in it
Shorter windows.
and shorter windows. And since we're also looking at Mom's age, and there may be a point where that needs to be converted to a bedroom, that was looking attractive, and it was several $1,000s less than the larger version. Well, Mom then sat down and they started talking front porch because Mom wanted a little porch. And for the most part, with turning the garage, shrinking that sunroom down, switching to the Classic elevation, Mom was also able to squeeze in, and we're still less money, a smaller front porch, which is exactly what she wanted.
With a little larger pillars holding the roof up.
Yes, they were $50 extra. Not a big deal.
No.
One change I made on the home after that was in the model with the Classic elevation, the front door is flush with the living room. So the foyer and the living room are all nice, a nice straight line. And I liked the look of that as opposed to the Classic that we were building now, where the front door was 2 foot out, because you have to walk around that on the porch, and that made no sense to me.
It shortened the porch actually because it set into the porch, and then when you opened the door, you had to walk around to get to the porch.
And we walked through several open houses by this point, and that was it's awkward. So I talked to Pam. I said, "Can I push that back?" And she said, "You sure can." And we took 14 foot off the house that way. But upstairs, I wanted to leave it bumped out. So we ended up with the same plant ledge that we would have had in the home with the tower, the Legacy.
Right.
And we've got the front door where the classic in the front will be or not the classic, but the Craftsman. So we'll have a little bit of Craftsman look, a little bit more of the legacy look to it. But we were able to consolidate all those features into the home together. And that's really all this section of our video is
Yeah,
going
it's
to be.
just when you get looking into your plans and the layout, how things are, and you go check on the open houses, take the measuring tape with you. We did. People seen us all the time.
We
What are
were
you
not
measuring?
the only ones doing
No,
that.
we were not. Because it's a lot of money that you're putting into this project, and it's something that you'll have for, hopefully, I know, for the rest of our lives. So it's something you want to make sure that you're going to enjoy once you get moved in. And the sizes are very important in these rooms, especially what you're going to be using them for.
Tune in for our next segment when we have the color meeting.
Have fun, and till the next time, bye everybody.